Hey everyone, my name is Meera. Welcome back to my channel. Have you read The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde? No? I've got you covered. Watch this video till the end and you'll get to know a little bit about this book so that the next time someone mentions Oscar Wilde or The Picture of Dorian Gray, you can add a little to the conversation. This is a gothic classic novel that is a commentary on Victorian society and human nature. Dorian Gray is the central figure of the book, as you can probably tell from the title. Basil Howard is a painter whose thoughts about the relationship between an artist and his work is fodder for a good discussion. As I was reading this book and learning more about what Basil thinks about artists and art, I was so delighted because I myself have so many thoughts on these topics. When Basil makes a painting of Dorian Gray, he creates a likeness, a vividness so appealing that it alarms Dorian. Dorian is horrified at the thought that someday he will cease to look like the painting, and so he wishes out loud that if only the painting could grow old and ugly while he remains young and beautiful. Be careful what you wish for, Dorian. The rest of the novel chronicles how Dorian's wishes somewhat come true, and that in itself is his unbecoming. Within the first few chapters, the pace picks up and we begin to discover what kind of a person Dorian is. While this was considerably easy to read, if you are someone who is not very accustomed to reading classic novels, then you may find certain sections of Oscar Wilde's writing a little bit complex. But that's only because he pays a lot of attention to detail. A lot of the novel is driven by Basil and Henry's viewpoints. Henry is one of the three main characters in the book. As the story progresses, you start to get an inkling of what's probably going to happen, at least I did. Not about the ending as such, but basically about what role the painting plays in the whole story and how it changes Dorian. There are some great chapters in this book where Oscar Wilde has made the atmosphere so dark and engaging. While there are a couple of main themes in this book, I feel like The Picture of Dorian Gray is the kind of novel that addresses a lot of topics at once. So some of the themes you will encounter while reading this book are ageism, beauty versus intellect, escapism, death, art, etc. You also read about this need to immortalize beauty. The book makes passing references to individualism, love, marriage, immigration, and many other topics. One of the more recurrent themes in this book is women as stereotypical beings. Henry has this tendency to go off about how women are like this and women are like that. I understand that it's the Victorian society, it's hundreds of years ago and gender roles were skewed, but it was still funny to read about Henry's ignorance when it comes to one of the other genders and how he is trying so hard to cast women as a certain type. Characters. Dorian is so susceptible to external influences. His thirst to own beautiful things and to look appealing is what really drives him. I like the fact that his characterization displays this non-adherence to black and white definitions of human nature. Some of his more negative traits or habits are that he feels no remorse for his actions. He doesn't really care about the consequences. He has this tendency to displace blame for whatever happens. He channels his thoughts onto material objects. So it's almost as if a book he's reading is negatively influencing him instead of him taking ownership, accountability for his own actions. Henry is considered to be the bad influence in the whole book. Basil, initially when he's making the painting, he makes a comment to Henry that, don't influence Dorian. But that's exactly what happens throughout the book. Why not entirely blame Henry by saying that he's the only negative influence? Because I feel like he creates this social space for Dorian that allows Dorian to be who he is. And so all of Dorian's misdemeanors are just a consequence of him acting on his worst impulses without anyone really telling him like, don't do that. I like Basil's character. In fact, I felt a little bad for him because he was so genuine and his reactions to situations are so much more realistic. He's not mechanical like Dorian is, and neither is he superficial and a little arrogant like I would say Henry is. So Basil is a nice character in the sense that he's likable. The story can be interpreted in more ways than one. The USP is that this is a peculiar read which reflects the desires of a lot of people in the world. The desire to be young and to look beautiful. In fact, it's symbolic of the society as such, because some people in society tend to be unforgiving of flaws and applaud all that is attractive. So yeah, Oscar Wilde turns this idea into a gothic horror by giving life to a painting. It was quite strange to read those scenes with Dorian and the painting. You'll know what I mean if you've read this book or you're going to pick it up after watching this video. I rated The Picture of Dorian Gray 3.75 out of 5 stars. There were some sections in the book that were a little difficult for me to digest because of how information heavy they were, and I also wasn't able to understand how it connected to the rest of the story. If you've read this book, then let me know what you thought about it. That's it for my review of The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon with another video. Bye!